Hello everyone, it's Hazem here from the Skills Bay and welcome to another video tutorial on an advanced feature in Excel. This is part 2 of separating full names. In this video, we will learn how to separate second, third, and last name. To do so, we will use advanced functions. In part 1, we learned how to separate first and last name. If you would like to know how did we do that, please check the previous video. Before starting with the actual task, let's take a look at another function in Excel, which is substitute. This function allows you to replace old text with a new one based on the instance or location of that text. So, for example, in this cell, the function says substitute the old text of this cell, which is B4, the space with, for example, 555. And the instance is number 3. And as you can see here, the formula replaced the third space with the value that we mentioned. So if we change this to 2, you can see that the second space has been changed right now. We will use this function when we are separating the third name. So let's start by separating the second name. To do so, we will use mid as the main function and search as supporting function. The logic is simple. We will ask the formula to search for the space within the text and add one character to it. So the formula starts extracting from the value right after the space. As for the number of characters to return, we will repeat the same logic by searching for the space and adding 1 to it. Then searching for the space once again and subtracting 1 from it. This logic will tell the formula where to stop. I wrote the formula for you for your reference. So let's start. For the second name, we will use the mid function within this text and search for the space within this text as well. We will add 1 to it so that the formula starts extracting the value right after the space. For the number of characters to return, we will use the search for the space within this text and then search again for the same space within the text and add 1 to it. Minus, search again for the space so that the formula knows where to stop. We can fill the formula down, and that's how we separate the second name. As you can see, second name has been successfully separated. Now, as for the third name, it gets a little more complicated and we need to use another technique to do that. We will also use mid as the main function and both find and substitute as separating functions. First, we will substitute the second and third spaces with the value of 1. Then we will use the previous logic by finding the first one value within the text and add to it another 1 character so that the formula starts extracting from the value right after the space. As for the number of characters to return, we will repeat the same logic by finding the 1 value and adding 1 to it. Then finding the second 1 value and subtracting 1 from it. This again will tell the formula where to stop. So let's start. Mid of this value, and then we will find number 1, but we will substitute the space within B3 with 1, and that will be on the second space. We will add 1 to it so that the formula starts pulling from the value right after the space. And then we will find again value number 1, and we will substitute the third space with the value 1 again. And now to tell the formula where to stop, we will subtract 1 value from the second space and find the value 1, substitute from B3 the space with the value number 1, and that will be the second space minus 1. I forgot to insert a comma here. So as you can see, if we fill the formula down, you can see that the formula successfully extracted the third name from the full name. So this is how you extract the third name from a full name. And again, here we are using formulas to separate these names. However, there is an easier way, which I talked about in the previous video, part 1, on how to use data and then separate the columns from data and then text to columns. And this is an easier way to do so. You can separate it based on the logics that you identify. However, it's good to learn how to separate full name using formulas. Finally, for the last name, we will use the same logic we used in the previous example, using the right function and subtracting all the other names based on their length from the original text. To do so, we will use the right function and we will do some math by deducting the length of first, second, third name from the original full name, and that will be len of B3 minus len of C3 minus len of D3 minus len of E3. And we fill down the formula, and there you go. As you can see, there are extra spaces here. So if you want to remove the extra spaces, you can use the trim function for that, and we're going to use the trim function for the whole formula and fill down. As you can see, the trim function removes all extra and redundant spaces. So this is how you separate second, third, and last name from the original name using formulas. I hope you found this video to be of help. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.